The Assembly is now in session. Assembly Member Garcia notices the absence of a quorum. The Sergeants-at-Arms will prepare the chamber and bring in the absent members. The clerk will call the roll.
Ashajian, Alejo, Allen, Baker, Bigelow, Bloom, Bonilla, Bonta, Bro, Brown, Burke, Calderon, Campos, Chang, Chow, Chavez, David Chu, Kansan Chu, Cooley, Cooper, DeBobne, Daly, Daly, Dodd, Eggman, Frazier, Gaines, Gallagher, Cristina Garcia, Eduardo Garcia, Gatto, Gibson, Gomez, Gonzalez, Gordon, Gray, Grove, Hadley, Harper, Hernandez, Holden, Irwin, Jones, Jones Sawyer, Kim, Lackey, Levine, Linder, Lopez, Lowe, Mainshine, Mathis, Mays, McCarty, Medina, Melendez, Mullen, Nazarian, Obernolte, O'Donnell, Olson, Patterson, Perea, Quirk, Rendon, Ridley Thomas, Rodriguez, Salas, Santiago, Steinorth, Stone, Thurmond, Ting, Wagner, Waldron, Weber, Wilk, Williams, Wood. Madam Speaker.
Members, a quorum is present. Members, we have a quorum. We ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and in the gallery to please stand for the prayer. The day's prayer will be offered by our Assembly Chaplain, Father Constantine Papadimos. Father Papadimos.
Good morning. Let us pray. Lord, the only difference between a piece of black coal and a priceless diamond is the amount of pressure it has endured. The challenges we experience do the same in us. They can open the door to new growth and new opportunities. They can allow your character to be developed inside us. Lord, give us the strength to overcome every obstacle in life, for we know that you are working with us in all things for our benefit. Amen.
Thank you, Father. We ask our guests and visitors to remain standing and join us for the flag salute. Please join Assemblymember Mainshine as he leads us in the pledge. Mr. Mainshine.
I pledge allegiance to the
You may be seated. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Wednesday, April 29th, 2015. The Assembly met at 7 a.m. Honorable Ed Chow, Assemblymember, 49th District, presiding. Chief Clerk E. Dotson Wilson at the desk. Reading Clerk Kathleen M.
Ms.
Lewis
Garcia
reading.
moves. Ms. Waldron seconds that the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentations of petitions, there are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Messages from the governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Motions and resolutions, the absences for the day. For legislative business, Assemblymember Steinorth. For illness, Assembly members Hernandez and Campos. Ms. Garcia, you're recognized for your procedural motions.
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Assembly Rule 45.5 and allow Member Bloom, Gallagher, Garcia, and Williams to speak on adjournment in memory today.
Without objection, the request is granted.
Pursuant to Assembly Rule 96, I request unanimous consent to re-refer AB 309 Mathis from the Natural Resources Committee to the Rules Committee.
Without objection, that request is granted.
Pursuant to Assembly Rule 96, I request unanimous consent to withdraw AB 775 Chu and Burke from the Appropriations Committee and place on the second reading file. Recent amendments made the bill non-fiscal.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
Mr. Speaker, I request unanimous consent to suspend Joint Rule 62A, the file notice requirements to allow the Business and Professions Committee to meet and hear AB 684 Bonilla and AB 796 Nasarian upon adjournment of session today, May 7, 2015, in the Rules Committee room. AB 796 will be heard for purpose of granting reconsideration only.
Without objection, such shall be the order.
At the request of Ms. Waldron, please remove the following bills from consent. File item 175, AB 264. File item 177, AB 318. File item 180, AB 404. File item 181, AB 429. File item 190, AB 774.
Clerk will note.
At the request of the author, please remove the following bills from consent. File item 201, AB 1004. File item 210, AB 1338.
The clerk will note. Members, we are moving to business on the daily file. Second reading, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 15, 1069, 1424 with amendments, 856, 1541, 634, 691, 1310, 830 with amendments, Assembly Joint Resolution 9 with amendments, Assembly Bill 1031, 1291, 284, 663, 992, 1002 with amendments, 253, 202, 232, 279, 320, 332, 338, 466, 498, 545, 552, 566, 573, 604, 605, 643, 746, 941, 969, 1024, 1063, 1072, 1073, 1123, 1175, 1177, 1228, 1270, 1358, 1509, 28, 144, 236, 240, 281, 316, 317, 353, 486, 509, 553, 556, 558, 624, 630, 704, 752, 764, 819, 824, and 826.
All bills will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Members, we're going to move to file item 30. That's AB 573. Mr. Medina for amendments. Mr. Medina, are you ready to proceed? The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 573 with amendments by Assemblymember Medina.
Mr. Medina, you may open on the amendments.
Mr. Speaker and members, AB 573 will provide relief and opportunity to the estimated 13,000 California students harmed by the closure of Corinthian colleges. These amendments add an urgency clause in order for the state to be able to take immediate action to support these students. AB 573 will assist students who are unable to finish their educational programs in enrolling in community colleges and or seeking discharge of their Corinthian loans. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on the urgency.
We may take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Pursuant to Assembly Rule 77.2, I am re-referring file item 30, AB 573, to the Higher Education Committee. Members, we are moving to Assembly third reading. File items 101 through 107, pass and retain. File item 108, that's AB 701, clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 701 by Assemblymember Christina Garcia, an act relating to gaming.
Ms. Garcia, you may open.
The Gambling Control Act provides for the licensure and regulation of various legalized gambling activities and established by the California Gambling Control Commission. Legalized gaming contributes significantly to our state's economy. The Department of Justice is responsible for the enforcement of the establishment and activities under the Act. Under existing law, the California Gambling Control Commission is required to establish a 12-member gaming policy advisory committee for the purpose of advising the Commission on gambling regulatory policies and other matters relative to gambling issues. This measure would simply increase the total of membership of 12 and include 2 members from the Department of Justice. Currently, the membership includes 5 members from the regulated gaming, 5 members from the public. By increasing the membership to include 2 members of the DOJ, this bill will increase the public participation on the advisory committee by opening 2 seats to public membership, including law enforcement. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 68, noes 2. Measure passes. File item 109, pass and retain. File item 110, AB 422. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 422 by Assemblymember McCarty, an act relating to transit.
Mr. McCarty, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present AB 422, a district bill related to our local regional transit authority, SAC-RT. This bill improves upon the ability of this local transit district to engage in short-term borrowing to help address cash flow challenges. SAC-RT is a unique, smaller-scale transit district created under the State Public Utilities Commission. It does not have the borrowing tools like other local transit districts and local governments. The current system for SAC-RT is imperfect, unnecessarily costly, and too often disruptive. This bill fixes this issue by allowing RT to negotiate short-term lines of credit with banks to address cash flow challenges. This bill also has safeguards that we took into committee to limit the amount of borrowing and the length of the loan. The bill cleared the local government and transportation committees with bipartisan support. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. McCarty. Mr. Alejo, you are recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just have a question for the author on this bill. This is a cash flow bill. I was just wondering why you included last-minute amendments in the bill to support the funding package for the King Stadium that you worked so closely with Mayor Kevin Johnson on.
This is a question without objection.
I think those were hostile amendments put forward by another member of the House, Mr. Speaker.
Well, maybe I was mistaken about the amendments. It must have been the language in support of the Strong Mayor Initiative that you worked so closely with Mayor Johnson on.
I don't think those amendments were taken up as either. Those must have been hostile amendments as well.
Did you work with
Members, we do not engage in colloquy on this floor. Mr. Alejo, please wrap up.
Last question. Was there anything that you worked with Mayor Kevin Johnson on while you were on the Sacramento City Council?
Yes, I ask for your aye vote.
We'll take that as your close. Seeing no further discussion or debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 51, noes 17. Measure passes. File item 111, AB 1129. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1129 by Assemblymember Burke, an act relating to emergency medical services.
Ms. Burke, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 1129 helps ensure the consistency and quality of data collection across our network of emergency medical services, or EMS, providers as they transition to electronic patient records. A key requirement for any electronic patient record in EMS, it is compatibility with both state and federal standards. AB 1129 requires EMS data collection systems to be compliant, but also ensures flexibility so that providers can choose software and hardware package that best fit their systems, so long as they can work with the local EMS authority data collection system. For smaller EMS providers or those like air ambulance providers that serve multiple jurisdictions, allowing for that flexibility strikes the right balance between accurate data collection and provider choice. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 70, noes 0. Measure passes. File item 112, pass and retain. File item 113, AB 651. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 651 by Assemblymember Cooper, an act relating to public employment.
Mr. Cooper, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 651 clarifies the right for firefighters and police officers who are ordered to appear as a witness to have representation during an internal affairs investigation interrogation. This bill seeks to clarify that a witness who is not the target of an investigation is entitled to representation during questioning if mutually agreed upon agency/union authorization, an ordinance, or collective bargaining. The bill passed Policy Committee unanimously. I ask for your aye vote.
See no discussion or debate on this item. Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 64, noes 1. Measure passes. File item 114, pass and retain. File item 115, for the purpose of amendments, that's AB 813. Clerk will read with amendments.
Assembly Bill 813 with amendments by Assemblymember Gonzalez.
Ms. Gonzalez, you may open on the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I rise to a purpose of amending Assembly Bill 813. AB 813 would allow California criminal courts to offer post-conviction release in cases of illegal convictions. The amendments I am proposing limit the scope of the bill to include only cases of guilty pleas. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Ms. Waldron, you are recognized.
For clarification, we are supporting the amendments.
Thank you, Ms. Waldron. Seeing no further discussion on this item, we may take a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Bill is out to print and back on file. File item 116. That's ACR 49. Clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 49 by Assemblymember Weber and others relative to the California Senior Bill of Rights.
Dr. Weber, you may open.
Yes, Mr. Speaker and members, today I present to you ACR 49, the California Senior Bill of Rights. As you know, generally I'm on the floor talking about K through 12 issues in higher ed, but today I'm talking about a significant population, one that I'm actually a member of now, that I began working for when I was a college student, working with the seniors in California and understanding their issues, and I had no idea that some 40 years later I'd be advocating for myself. But we all know that the character of this state is not judged by what we do for those who can do for themselves, but it's really judged by what we do for our children and what we do for our seniors, those who are most dependent upon us. We recognize that the people of California who are in our senior population are those who've built businesses, who've contributed to the life and church and the communities of this state, who've served in our wars in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. And these are individuals who are often dependent upon us, oftentimes for their basic needs. Just as millions of Californians are aging in populations every day, and our colleague reminds us consistently of the silver tsunami, which in terms of how many will turn the age of 60, so some of you will be joining us fairly soon in the silver tsunami, that we have to be prepared to handle and to deal with and to respect our seniors. And I'm going to remind you that you should respect me and Mrs. Brown and, of course, Mr. Bloom and all of us who are part of this wonderful class of seniors. That is true. That is true. As this changing demographic occurs. But we want to make sure that ACR 49 once again codifies for us a senior Bill of Rights. And that basically says that we're going to develop and support policies that will help with the financial security and independence of our seniors and their physical and financial needs, developing policies that provide access to quality, affordable health care and other services, and also policies that talk about affordable housing and transportation, and basically saying that we want to support those policies that give lifelong learning and enrichment. I request your support of ACR 49, and I ask for the roll be open for co-authors to first vote.
Mr. Bloom, for what purpose do you rise?
To address the measure.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe it was Groucho Marx who once said, I wouldn't want to be a member of a club who would have someone like me as a member. Nevertheless, I ask for your aye vote on this.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown, you are recognized at your desk.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As Chair of Aging and Long-Term Care and as a co-author on this measure, I stand in support of it. ACR 49 stands for our seniors. Yesterday, when you saw those seniors walking in the halls, when they were here visiting us, when they were rallying, they're trying to tell you and give us a message that we're forgetting our seniors. I'm here today to speak for the 5.2 Californians over the age of 65 who couldn't be here to speak for themselves. Every day, 1,000 people in California are turning 65. And as my member colleague says, it is a silver tsunami. The Senior Bill of Rights is our commitment as legislators to move forward as we engage and consider the policies that will be heard before us regarding senior issues. I respectfully ask for you to join me and my colleague in voting aye on this measure.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Seeing no further discussion or debate, Dr. Weber, you may close on the resolution.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker. I ask for your aye vote. I ask for you to join us by co-authoring this bill for all of those who are members of the senior tsunami right now, as well as those who expect to be blessed enough to join us.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. Dr. Weber asks that the first roll be open for co-authors on the resolution. Clerk will open the roll. All members wishing to add as co-authors. Adding as co-authors on ACR 49, there are 73 co-authors added. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. File items 117 and 118 passed and retained. Moving to file item 119. That's AB 1322. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1322 by Assemblymember Daley and others, an act relating to alcoholic beverages.
Mr. Daley, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This measure allows beauty salons and barbershops to serve beer or wine to their customers without having to obtain a special license or permit. Many shops throughout California offer their customers alcoholic beverages without charge as a part of their services. This is a growing and popular trend in our state. However, barbershops and beauty salons are not currently allowed to offer alcohol without an ABC license, which is why we need to update the regulations, because technically these operations are operating beyond the law. My bill allows these shops to offer beer or wine to their customers without having to obtain a license or a permit, similar to the long-standing laws allowing limousines or hot air balloon companies to do so. The bill requires a business to be in good standing with the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology before the business is allowed to serve the beverages. Customers may only be offered one drink during normal business hours and only until 10 p.m. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Mr. Alejo, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question for the author. Would you be willing
Without
to...
objection.
Would you be willing to name this bill the Shampoo and Champagne Act of 2015?
Yeah, this is a bipartisan bill, and my Republican co-author, I'll have to consult with him on this because he has a pet name for the bill already. That's my response.
If not that, shampoo and brew would work as well.
We'll pursue that later. Thank you for your suggestion. Thank you.
We'll take that as your close, Mr. Daly. With that, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 71, no 0. Measure passes. Members, we are going to move to guest introductions. Ms. Eggman, I believe you have guests with us in the assembly today. You are recognized from your desk for your guest introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like the Assembly to join me in welcoming the inaugural Assembly District 13 Young Legislators Program. We have young people here from the cities of Stockton and Tracy here to represent us and learn about our process here in the Capitol. I ask them to stand up and please give them a warm welcome.
Members, we are back on the file. File item 120, pass and retain. File item 121, that's AB 726. Clerk will read.
Assembly Rule 726 by Assemblymember Nazarian and others, an act relating to vehicles.
Mr. Nazarian, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. AB 726 is a district bill that will allow the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority to operate articulated buses up to 82 feet in length along the Los Angeles Metro Orange Line. San Fernando Valley has outgrown the bus rapid transit system as ridership has doubled in the last decade. Bi-articulated buses would allow for expansion of capacity on this line and translate into an operating capacity of 112 passengers. AB 726 has garnered bipartisan support and has received no votes. With that, I thank you and ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Nazarian. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 73, no 0. Measure passes. Members, moving to file item 122. That's AB 1279. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1279 by Assemblymember Holden, an act relating to music therapy.
Mr. Holden, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present Assembly Bill 1279. AB 1279 defines the requirements that must be completed in order to become a board-certified music therapist in California. Music therapists are helpful to a wide range of individuals, and the profession is growing rapidly. This bill has support from numerous individuals and has received overwhelming bipartisan support in Policy Committee. I will continue to work with the various stakeholders to ensure that their concerns are addressed. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. We'll see. Ms. Grove, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of this bill because our esteemed caucus chair had us engage in musical therapy at at a retreat that we did, and it was pretty nice. And so I think this bill would be beneficial to many.
Mr. Jones, you are recognized from your desk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was going to come to the floor today. Actually, I was fully prepared to vote for this bill today, as I think I've already voted aye on it once before. But now, based on our esteemed colleagues' comments from Bakersfield, I may have to vote no on the bill. So just wanted to kind of share that based on the horrible experience that we had going through this musical experience that we had with the Republican caucus. So, no, I'm just joking a little bit. I do ask for an aye vote.
Mr. Holden, do you wish to close on this item?
I'm just a tad confused, but I think I'm all right. I ask for your aye vote.
With that, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 72, no 0. Measure passes. Members, moving back to guest introduction. Mr. Wilk, your guests have arrived with us today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to introduce to you all the Cardinals from Santa Cruz Christian School who are with us today from my hometown. 35 students, and best wishes to them, the 28 parents, and Miss Smith and Miss Engler for coming up here and touring the Capitol today. You could rise.
Members, back on the file. File item 123. That's AB 724. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 724 by Assemblymember Dodd, an act relating to food safety.
Mr. Dodd.
Mr. Speaker and members, AB 724 is a simple but straightforward bill to add district fairs to the list of statutorily defined community events. This places district fairs under the same food safety scheme that currently applies to state and county fairs. Current ambiguity in the code makes it clear whether the temporary food facilities regulations even apply to district fairs. This ambiguity exacerbates regional inconsistencies in enforcement and adds unnecessary burden to event operations. California's 52 district fairs outnumber county fairs by more than 2 to 1 in our community pillars where they operate. Bringing them under the same regulations which apply to state and county fairs would ease concerns regarding uneven regulation across the state and provide operational security for the future.
Thank you, Mr. Dodd. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 74, no 0. Measure passes. File item 124. AB 628. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 628 by Assemblymember Bloom, an act relating to used oil.
Mr. Bloom, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 628 authorizes oil recyclers and refiners to take biolubricants. AB 628 will ensure that bio-based oils or oils mixed with bio-based constituents are treated the same as crude oils under state and federal law. These lubricants will save consumers money by extending the life of an engine, increasing fuel efficiency, and requiring fewer oil changes. These products also can be applied for use in greases, gear oils, metal working fluid, hydraulic fluids, marine lubricants, heavy equipment, heavy-duty vehicles, agricultural equipment, vessels, amusement park elevators, and amusement parks, elevators, and other similar industrial and business applications. That's a mouthful. The potential for broad application of this technology really does hold great promise for us for reducing air and water pollution in our industrial and commercial areas, and therefore I thank you and ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Bloom. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 54, noes 14. Measure passes. File item 125, pass and retain. File item 126, AB 272. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 272 by Assemblymember Lackey and others, an act relating to employment.
Mr. Lackey, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the Assembly. I have the pleasure of presenting to you AB 272, which clarifies that reserve peace officers are employees with protections under the Fair Employment and Housing Act. Due to a 2013 court case, reserve peace officers can be discriminated against because of their race, sexual orientation, or other personal traits. In the case, California Court of Appeals found that reserve peace officers are merely volunteers. Last year, Governor Brown signed into law Assembly Bill 1443, protecting interns under FEHA, but only protecting volunteers from harassment. If the Estrada case established that reserve peace officers are only volunteers, AB 1443 still left them vulnerable to discrimination. California Workers' Compensation Law, the California Government Claims Act, the California Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training consider these reserve officers as employees. What AB 272 does is ensure that under California's Fair Employment and Housing Act, reserve peace officers are protected from discrimination, harassment, and termination based on race, gender, and other traits. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Lackey. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 71, no 0. Measure passes. File items 127 and 128 pass and retain. Moving to file item 129. That's AB 594. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 594 by Assemblymember Gordon, an act relating to the Political Reform Act of 1974.
Mr. Gordon, you may open.
Thank you. AB 594 would reduce redundancy and simplify discrete provisions within the Political Reform Act. Unfortunately, the Political Reform Act has become very complex and in some instances duplicative. Accordingly, AB 594 would first eliminate duplicative reporting that was in part caused when I introduced AB 481 in 2012, which extended campaign reporting periods. This bill eliminates reporting without sacrificing disclosure or transparency. Second, this bill would clarify that reporting requirements for 24-hour reports filed 90 days before the election include the election date itself. Third, it would simplify the filing schedule for some required reports and treat city general purpose committees similar to state and county general purpose committees. Overall, the bill will make small but meaningful changes with little to no fiscal impact. I would respectfully request an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. Members, this is a 54-vote bill. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 74, no 0. Measure passes.